Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with If I Could Choose Only One Recording by Artist X, it would have to be Work P. Well, Artist X is Arturo Toscanini. This is a toughie. Actually, it isn't. It's an easy choice. You pointed it out to me, one of you anyway, in the comments section. You said, oh, it's got to be Verdi's Falstaff. Yes, it does. There's no question about it. Toscanini could be controversial in many ways. His recordings, particularly, his NBC recordings, are sometimes castigated as being sonically inferior, which isn't really relevant to the artistic question, but rigid or maniacal or, all kinds of, strange things going on. I happen to think most of them are pretty fabulous. I mean, the guy was genius conductor, no question about it. But everyone seems to agree, and I think with good reason, that this Falstaff is something special. We have to remember that Toscanini was conducting, actually at the time Falstaff was premiered in 1893, I think it was, but he did it quite shortly thereafter, and it was the opera he conducted more frequently than any other. And he wrote something wonderful about it. I just have to read it. It's in the booklet of, this RCA recording that he made in quite good sound, by the way, really good sound, in 1950 from 2 broadcasts. Oh gosh, it's marvelous. But let's just see what he said. I think it's kind of fascinating. We're comparing Verdi and Wagner. Now, Toscanini was a tremendous Wagnerite, as you know, and an amazing Wagner conductor, really fantastic. And he wrote in 1936, wrote or said in conversation, and someone else wrote, "It has happened many times that I have had to conduct Die Meistersinger and Falstaff alternatingly in the same week. Die Meistersinger is a magnificent opera, but Falstaff is really something completely different. No opera is more beautiful, more complete, newer, and more Latin than Falstaff. Think for a moment about how many musical means, beautiful ones to be sure, Wagner requires to describe the Nuremberg Night. And look at how Verdi achieves a similarly evocative effect at a theatrically similar moment using 3 notes." And that's a very wise statement, because Falstaff is an enormously compressed opera. It moves at a blazing pace, a really quick-moving opera, but it's also an ensemble opera. It's not an opera where you're going to hear a lot of big tunes. There's Quando rapaggio di Duca di Norfolk. There's that thing, which is the only real aria in it, and it's like a minute long. That's it, like 60 seconds. It's really kind of fascinating. And it just flits by. And with constantly, there's a lightness, a freshness. Verdi wrote it for himself, as we all know. And it wasn't under any pressure to do anything anyone else wanted. It was everything he wanted it to be. And Toscanini understood that. And he took huge pains to realize every nuance in the piece, as well as he possibly could. And because, Toscanini's opera productions tend to be also controversial because, like a lot of mad genius, powerhouse conductors, Karajan was another one, he sometimes didn't cast from strength. He didn't want singers who were going to really argue with him about how the music was going to go. He wanted to bend the entire ensemble to his will. Now, that works when you have an ensemble opera like Falstaff. It doesn't work so well when you have a singer's opera like, La Traviata or even La Bohème, which Toscanini conducted the premiere of. But his recording was some people find a little relentlessly hasty. And I get that. It is kind of hasty, and I like it. It's exciting, but, I get the point. And because you've got a cast that has to really become these, individual singer people have to bring themselves to it. Whereas in Falstaff, you've got the men, you've got the women, you've got the lovers, and you have Falstaff himself, who has to be a major character. And here you've got, who is it, Giuseppe Valdengo, who is a very, very good Falstaff. Toscanini worked with him for 7 months before the recording was made. So you can be sure that he realized Toscanini's intentions anyway, and brought a few of his own as well, I'm sure. The rest of the cast, Herr Vanelli, Nan Merriman, Chloe Elmo, Frank Guerrera, Teresa Stickrandall, at least we've heard of her. They're not people who you know well. They aren't, but they are team players. And that's the point. That's what we want in these performances. We want team players in any performance of Falstaff. So there are many great recordings of Falstaff. There's Karajan's first one. There's Bernstein's, which is terrific. There's Giulini's. There's wonderful Falstaffs out and about. But this one is special. This one has the link to the composer himself. This is the one that I would give to the evil god Cankresans to say, yeah, this is a major historical document from a conductor who left us quite a few. Really, really more than just a couple. And so whose legacy deserves to survive and deserves to be preserved, not just for itself, but because of the impact it had on 20th century music more generally, which was incalculable. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.